Hello there. It's Jeff Bessa. Going to be doing a video. I haven't done these for a while. It's not my area of expertise, to be honest with you, but I like to do them when I can get Sara on board with me. And I just wanted to welcome Sara. Twitter is Outrun the Odds, and we've done quite a few videos together in the past, but happy to have her now. How you doing, Sara?
Great. Always a pleasure to be on with you. You're one of the first people that I did a video with, and it's always great to reunite and talk about some races. And I know that it's been a minute since you and I have chatted, and I look forward to the sequence that we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, great. And we're going to be covering the Santa Anita late pick five. Before we get to that, Sara, tell me what you're going to be working on soon.
Yeah, so no secret now. I'm going to be joining the Naira team as a production assistant starting next week as of this recording. So Friday, the 10th of February, going to be doing a little bit of a mix of everything. So some social media, some on-camera stuff, a little bit of content for Naira Bets, and helping out with their production ideas and going forward, hopefully seeing how we can make their product better and grow the show and grow Naira Bets and see what we can do there. So I'm really looking forward to joining the team. I still have a lot of packing to do from my location in Louisville, Kentucky to get to New York, but really looking forward to whatever happens next there.
Well, you've always been a superb handicapper in New York. I know that's kind of your home track, and you do extremely well there. I think you're going to be a huge asset. You're going to get some great experience as well. We were going to do Aqueduct together, but Aqueduct has extremely poor weather. And so we decided to go where the weather is good, and that's Santa Anita. So we're going to hit this late pick five, races 6 to 10 on Saturday. Thankfully, we get to avoid the Bob Baffert Invitational, and which is, I think, the Robert B. Lewis. Great owners, by the way, the Robert B. Lewis. But we're not going to be talking about that race, but we are going to start off with race 6. And race 6 is an allowance on the turf, sprinting, going 6 furlongs. So I'll let you go first, Sara. Who do you like?
I mean, this is a tough race to get us
Mhm.
started, and this looks like a wide open affair and lots of different directions you could go in. And so when I see that and I assess a race that way, I'm going to try to beat some of the shorter prices with both the three Briefcase Girl as well as the Horse to the Outside and the number 10, Carmen Miranda.
Mhm.
So I don't have the strongest opinion in the world in here. I am going to go five deep without using those shorter priced horses. I guess the one that I would put on top would probably be number 8, Pearl Glory, just based on quite a bit of a trip that she had last time in her first start in the United States. It seemed like she always had some horse and never really got the chance to show that, always kind of stuck in behind horses, stuck in traffic, especially in the stretch there. And now she gets a rider change, gets to be drawn to the outside in here. There should be a little bit of speed. I don't quite see a confirmed pace battle or serious front runners that are all going to be duking it out early, but she should be able to get things going. And I think that we can expect a bit of a better trip for her and some improvement based on what we saw last time. And to me, the price is right at 8 to 1, but I'll also be using the number 1, the number 4, the 5, and even the 7 in here. So a spread race for me and going to try to beat those two shorter prices.
Good take. I like it. My top horse is also Pearl Glory. Gets an A plus on my chart. I'll show my charts here and there as we're talking, not particularly this race, but gets an A plus on my chart. The layoff is a bit of a concern for this jockey, not this jockey, this trainer, and also this is second start. The trainer is only 4% on second start, so a few negatives with the trainer, but a big positive with Rispoli getting on board. I think that's a huge sign of confidence in the horse. So that's definitely my top horse. The other horse that I like a little bit, you mentioned, is the 4 Annie Song. I didn't run too good in that November 20th Del Mar race. I think 5 furlongs is a bit short for this horse. So I think the 6 furlongs would be a little bit better. That horse basically had a bad start, was much further back than normal. Did come running late though. Okay. Made a pretty decent effort. And today gets the bug boy, gets a 7 pound break. And this guy, Abdul Al Sagour, is riding well. He's 3 for 15 at the meet. So, he's 1 for 3 with Sadler. So I like this horse at a pretty big price. And then if I had to go 3 deep, everybody you mentioned is fine. I probably would throw that Carmen Miranda in there, but the price is pretty short, and the horse is probably going to get bet down. But that would be the third horse, I would look at using.
Fair enough. I think you bring up some good points about the 4 Annie song, and two for this one. Her 2 wins were at Santa Anita. For some stats for the Leonard Powell barn, you brought up some ones that are a little bit ones that I would want to shy away from, but he does have a couple of good ones to highlight too for his 2 horses, in that he is 31% cutting horses back routes to sprints with a 402 ROI out of a sample size of 13. And then for the number 7 horse that he has in here as well, Rebel Girl, with horses that won their previous start, he is 29% with a positive ROI out of 30 or 31. So at least he has had success with some angles for both of these horses. They're both 8 to 1. I feel like it's worth taking a shot with those two, and I'm glad that you see it the same way with the number 8 Pro Glory.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about race 7 now. Now, race 7, tough race. Optional claiming maiden 62.5, going 7 furlongs. And I think this race is even harder than the last race. Who are you looking at?
Well, this is a tough race. I agree with you completely on that. And I don't really fully trust this favorite in the number 1, Arrow the Great, who's taking the blinkers off and coming back off a little bit of a break. Some might see this drop in class as a bit of a negative, but I listened to a podcast that David Aragona and Emily Gullickson did about this sequence, and David made a point that perhaps this slight drop in class is actually just to avoid some of these Baffert trained horses that have really been dominating the maiden special weight ranks out in California. So if you look at it that way, and that's the reason, it certainly makes sense, as this one did face 2 of those and get sandwiched between them on a debut between Newgate and Hard to Figure. I'm not in love with this horse. He can win, but I wanted to go elsewhere. And so I used 3 horses in here. 2 of them are coming out of the same race. Actually, 4 of them in total are coming out of the same race. But the 2 that I wanted out of that race were Snap Daddy and Motorcade, the number 4 and the number 8 in here. Both of them had pretty subpar beginnings in that race, and both of them made some runs towards the end. Whereas a horse like Big Hat Willie, the number 3, who's 3 to 1 on the morning line, this horse is so green still and making career start number 4 now. I don't want to see that kind of greenness in the stretch from a horse who's really looking like he just left the bar in the stretch. That's not what I want to see from a horse who's had this kind of experience. And I didn't really see a major excuse for Henry Q not to continue on in his last start. So I wanted to get rid of those 2, use the one that were making their first starts that could improve second time out. And then also the number 9 horse, Bluegrass Go Go, could be the speed in here if they send from the outside, making his second start on dirt, who was always chasing a really wicked pace in Faustin's maiden win. So I expect some improvement from him if he can go a little bit slower early, getting that extra furlong and sustain some of that speed over a bit more ground.
Nice. Yeah, it's really hard to see what the pace is going to be and who's going to be on the lead. I do think there's a chance the 2 could also be on the lead. Hasn't been in either of his 2 races, but someone's got to have the lead. And that horse does have some tactical speed. I do like the fact that Dettori's staying on board, and him and Doug O'Neill have great track record here, 29% positive ROI. I definitely don't like Big Hat Willie. You and I are on the same page there. That horse had every right to run his best third start of career, and where the 2 and the 8 did not. I think 8 is my horse, my top horse. I mentioned the 2, but I really like the 8 for all the reasons you said. Kind of a rough start, came running, should improve now, and keeps Juan Hernandez, who's really the hottest jockey at the meet. So I'm going to go 8, maybe 2 as a backup. But I mean, honestly, any horse in the race could win. It's pretty darn wide open. I'm definitely going to stay away from that chalk, Arrow the Great, who looks very vulnerable to me.
I like it.
All right. So now we're moving on to race 8. This is a 1.8 on the turf, another maiden race. This one's an even harder one, 67,000. And for Calbred. All right. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, this is quite the sequence. In here, I looked at those first-time turfers first, just to see if I could make a case for either of them. And actually, with the number three, Fast Chad, who is 20-1 on the morning line, this is a city of light, and he is over 18 so far with his dirt routers, but they are really loving the synthetic and doing well on the grass. If you look through his top 20 progeny on Formulator, some of the top ones that you see are horses that are having synthetic and turf success, like Chop Chop, Candle, Lights of Broadway. Bourbon Bash was actually the only one mixed in with his dirt form into that top group of horses. The Damn Awesome Bella was unraced, but her progeny have leaned towards the turf and synthetic. And a really great stat from Mike McCarthy that I noticed was 36% synthetic to turf with a 506 ROI. It's only out of 11, but I like that he's had some success moving his horses to the turf after they run on the synthetic. That's not his only shot that he has in here. He also has the number two Escape Artist, who I think is the more likely of his in this race. This one ran a very professional debut, just getting beat a neck, showed some early speed in that race, and really fought to the end in there. So I definitely want Escape Artist on my ticket too. For other horses, Excel Calculator's also getting the turf for the first time, has a little bit of pedigree to suggest that he'll appreciate it. And then the number one, San Antone, this is a favorite that I'm not in love with, but wasn't one that I was really against, like the other two favorites that we already talked about in those first two races. So I would go four deep and I would use those horses in here.
Nice. I really appreciate your pedigree comments. Pedigree is one thing that my charts do not take into account. So really appreciate that. I am liking the one as my top pick. I think the horse should run well second time in America. Amato and Pratt ran really impressively in that last race, beat a couple horses in here. I do like Escape Artist as well. Second time career and ran extremely well first out. So I'm gonna primarily go 2-1. If I did go for another horse, I was looking at this 11, who has two dirt and only one turf, and so that turf form is a little sneaky and hidden. But the horse ran good, was second with Espinoza, and beat Single Track Mind, who's shorter odds in here. So I think the other one you can look at is at 11, who's a little bit of an overlay. I think it's 6-1. So, but I'm primarily going 2-1 and then 11.
I love that you mentioned Eastbound because that's the last horse I have a note on one. I really wish I could make a case for. And some of these stats for John Sheriff's with turf horses and off of this short freshening kind of deterred me a little bit, but he certainly makes sense based on what we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, those are good points. He's also a first-time Lasix, and for some reason, John Sheriff's is 0 for 11, first-time Lasix. But it's time for maybe the first winner. All right, so off to the first stake race. We're adding in the card the late doubles with two stakes races, and race 9 is 7 furlongs on the dirt to Santa Monica, a grade 2, $200,000 for filly and mares 4 and up. So, what do you think?
Yeah, this is my least creative opinion with Fun to Dream, the number two horse, who is your favorite. I mean, even if you don't think that that big fig in the La Brea makes her this complete standout just in general, she has been running well. She has been winning. She looks for her fourth win in a row. I don't really see anybody in here that's going to turn the tables on her, such as Awake at Midnight. I can't make that case for how this horse gets the better of her. I don't think Lady T gets the setup from the outside. I don't really think Samurai Charms form has yet to show up in some of these bigger spots, even though we've seen her run well at lower level or at Zia Park. Um, I just don't think that she would need to even necessarily run her absolute best race to be effective in here. And I just think that she's going to end up being much the best. And I didn't want to waste money on my ticket with adding anybody else. So it's just a single of Fun to Dream for me.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. And by the way, on that Samurai Charm does show up pretty strongly on my chart. But when I look at the PPs, I have some skepticism, particularly those two big races at Zia. Both of those are with Lasix on, and the horse looks pretty average without the Lasix. Um, and Fun to Dream, interesting. Baffert bred, Baffert trained, and Baffert owned. Okay. I don't think I've seen that before, but very interesting. And the horse is 5 for 6 lifetime. Um, like you said, huge race in a grade one, the La Brea. If I went too deep, I would use Lady T, but I agree with your assessment, and the horse is further down on my chart. I think it's the right single, Fun to Dream. I agree with you. By the way, that horse
Yep.
does get the K on my chart, K for key, and those are very possible singles anytime you see that. All right, last race. This is a grade 3, and it's a mile on the turf. It's the Thunder Road, and it's for 4-year-olds and up. And I'll let you start us off again.
You go first, 'cause I want to hear your opinion.
Sorry, something's happening. I think it might be your headset.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's your headset. Can you take that off? Yep, it's gone. Now you're muted. So you got to unmute yourself. There
I'll
you
try.
go. All right. It was the headset. The battery's low.
You think so? I'm gonna try to reconnect. We'll see what happens here.
Okay.
Do you have editing software to edit this part out
Don't
or
even
not?
worry. I don't. I do, but I'm not going to worry
No,
about it.
you do. You don't. We'll see what happens. All right. Look.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, it's good.
We're good? All right, great.
Yeah, we're good. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to try to edit it out, but if I don't, you saw it all. It's oh well.
Seen it all.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, last race. What do you like?
Well, I'm gonna make you go first for this one because I
Okay.
have no super strong opinion in here, and you've made me go first this whole time. So I want to hear what
I
you have
know.
to say about this
I'm
race.
kind of cheating. All right. So, all right. So I'll go ahead and show my chart the one time here. Pretty hard to have a strong opinion when you see a chart like this. It's gets a score of 2, which is pretty mediocre. I do think Air Force Red gets the A grade, and the A grade looks at everything in the chart and gives you what it thinks is the most likely winner. It's not particularly looking for value. It's just looking at every possible factor and says that's the most likely winner. And I got no problems with that horse. It definitely could win. However, that horse does not score well on my PFDS odds. PFDS odds is my proprietary algorithm that tries to assess a horse's chance of winning. And the horse is, quite a ways down at 9-1, 5.6 on best odds. So it's not showing up too well there. And a couple of horses that are showing up quite well with pretty good odds are the 9 and the 10. And in particular, I like that 10, Dark Shift. So let's talk about that one. Let me pull up the past performances. But yeah, this horse is Dettori up. Dettori, I think, second time I'm picking Dettori. But Dettori is having a great meet and gets on this horse. Horse ran really well at Keeneland, I thought. Was bothered at the start and came running, only beaten 4 1/4 or 4 3/4. Was a European horse, had Buick up a couple times, had Ryan Moore up a couple times. I mean, I think this horse is a solid horse. Dettori may even know the horse to some extent, and he's getting on board. And I think the horse should run well second time in America. So that's my top pick. And then I like Hit the Road a little bit, although Hit the Road ran really badly in his last race, and Dettori's getting off. And then I like Air Force Red. So those are my main horses. Who do you like?
This is a tough race, and I'm going in a pretty different direction than the ones that you mentioned on top. For me, I actually went to Du Jour, who is coming off a bit of a break, first time gelding for the Baffert barn. I'm not totally sure we're going to get that 15-1 because this horse used to be pretty good once upon a time over the turf, and that's not really Baffert's strong suit. We don't see him with a lot of turf runners. Another one that I want to use is Bob and Jackie, who has some back class. Iridio has had success at this distance before, if he can get back to some of his better races. And the number 7, there goes Harvard, has run really well on the turf so far in his career. So, with such a wide open race, I do want to take shots against some of those shorter prices. And these are the ones that I want to do it with. But you can really convince me of pretty much anyone in here, and I wouldn't talk you off of them. This is a wild way to end the card, as many sequences do end with kind of this wide open scramble.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I pulled the chart back up because I did add a new flag. Now I'm tweaking this flag, and it's going to be finalized in my Monday charts. But there's a first draft on these charts, and that's this little D. So the 2-3 means second or third start off the layoff, and the D means the horse is dropping in class. And Bob and Jackie for sure is Bob dropping in class from grade 2 competition. So Bob and Jackie is a horse, and I think when you see that drop in class, it's really useful on these long shots. And I factor in the drop in class in PFTS odds; it gets factored in, but it's just an extra indicator that you'll see occasionally on horses. It doesn't happen too many times on this Saturday card at Santa Anita, but it does happen on several of the horses in this race, including the horse you like, Du Jour. That one's also dropping in class. So that's a new flag customers can start to look at and take advantage of. Looking for feedback if any customers have feedback on that flag. All right, well that covers the race, the sequence of pick 5. I think we gave out some useful information that people could take advantage of. And any final comments before we close up?
I think that's a great new feature on the chart, so I'm excited to see that show up, and kind of just a quick way to tell what kind of moves these horses are making. So glad to see you make that addition. So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough sequence. I think that regardless of what kind of ways you want to go in here, there are lots of opportunities, and there's plenty of opportunities for you to get paid if you can take down some of these shorter prices. And even the shorter prices, I mean, I don't really see anybody as this clear-cut single type other than Fun to Dream. So I think this is probably the best set of races for this weekend that we could have covered in terms of competitive fields.
I agree with you completely. All right. Thank you, Sarah, for your time, and appreciate everybody signing in. Good luck this weekend. Good luck on the Saturday Road to the Derby races. Bye-bye.